There comes a point when you don't just feel hurt. You feel broken. Not bruised, not tired, not going through a rough patch, but shattered in ways that feel beyond repair. Like something essential inside you cracked so deeply that no amount of encouragement, no quote, no prayer has been able to stitch it back together. You walk through your days, smile when expected, function when needed. But if someone looked closely, they'd see it. The hollowed spaces, the fractures, the deep, almost unspeakable ache that whispers, "I'm not who I used to be." And maybe worse, "I'm not sure I ever will be again." This is the kind of brokenness that doesn't scream. It sits quietly. It hides. It shows up in the middle of the night when no one's around. It comes after the divorce is final, after the diagnosis is confirmed, after the betrayal has settled in, after the door has closed for the last time. You pray, maybe, but the words don't feel like they go anywhere. Or maybe you've stopped praying because hope feels too dangerous. You wonder if God still sees you, and if He does, you wonder what He sees. A mess? A failure? A shell of the person you used to be? We talk about healing like it's linear, like it's a comeback story, like you rise strong and never look back, but no one tells you about the days where you can't get out of bed, where you sit in the ruins of what was and think, "This is it. This is all I'll ever be." That kind of brokenness doesn't just affect your mind or your body. It affects your identity. You stop believing you're still worthy. You start believing the lie that says, "You're done. You had your chance. You messed it up. You lost too much. You're too far gone." And that lie, it burrows deep. But what if I told you this isn't the end? What if I told you, gently, with all the love I could carry in words, that this breaking is not your burial? It's the beginning of your rebuilding? I know it doesn't feel that way. I know the pain is raw and real, and you don't want someone to fix it with a Band-Aid verse or a pat on the back. So I won't. What I will offer you instead is this. Maybe God is not trying to put you back the way you were. Maybe He's building you into something entirely new. Maybe the old version of you wasn't the whole picture. Maybe this pain, as unbearable as it is holy ground. Not because it feels good, but because He is in it. You're not broken beyond repair. You're not a lost cause. You are under sacred reconstruction. And even if no one else sees it, God does. Even now, even here, He's holding the blueprint. His name was Marcus. A father, a husband, a man who once led morning prayers in his home and brought laughter to every dinner table. He built things, furniture, friendships, dreams. Everyone saw him as strong, dependable, unshakable, until everything fell apart. It started with a layoff, unexpected, humiliating, a punch to the gut. Then came the arguments at home, the distance, the nights on the couch. Eventually, the silence turned into goodbye. One evening, with a duffel bag and no clear destination, Marcus left the house he built, the family he loved, and the man he thought he was. For a while, he stayed in his car. Days blurred together. He'd sit in a Walmart parking lot with the windows cracked just enough to breathe and wonder how life could unravel this fast. He had lost more than a marriage or a job. He had lost his reflection. Every time he looked in the mirror, all he saw was a man who failed. And when he finally whispered a prayer one night, just 3 words, "God, help me," even that felt too little, too late. No angels appeared, no miracle money. But the next morning, something happened. A man in the parking lot knocked on his window. He didn't ask questions. He just handed Marcus a coffee and said, "You matter." That same week, Marcus walked into a small-town church because the front door was open. He sat in the back, not to worship, just to be warm. The pastor didn't notice him, but a little girl did. She was coloring in the corner, and without a word, she handed Marcus a page with a cross on it and walked away. In her scribbled handwriting, she had written, "God sees you." It broke him in a different way. Not like before. Not with shame, but with something he hadn't felt in months. Tenderness. That night, he cried. Not because he had a plan, not because anything had changed, but because for the first time in a long time, something in him whispered, maybe this isn't the end. In the weeks that followed, Marcus found a temporary job cleaning an old church. He never told anyone who he used to be. He just scrubbed floors and stacked chairs. But slowly, something inside him started to rebuild. Not his career, not his reputation. Him, his heart, his ability to feel, to hope, to breathe again without guilt. One night, while locking up, he stood alone in the sanctuary and whispered, "I'm still here." That was the beginning. No one saw the foundation being laid again. No one applauded the sacred silence of that moment. But heaven did. Marcus wasn't being put back together as he was. He was being rebuilt. Wiser, humbler, slower, more compassionate. He didn't bounce back. He grew roots. And from that ground of brokenness, something beautiful began to rise. I never stopped seeing you. Not for one moment. When you sat in the car with your head against the steering wheel, trying to remember how to breathe, I was there. When you felt too ashamed to walk through the doors of your own house, I was already holding the key to a different kind of home. When you whispered, "God, help me," with more silence than sound, my heart heard it louder than 1,000 sermons. You thought you had failed. You thought you had let everyone down. But my child, I never loved you for your strength. I never chose you because of your success. I chose you because I made you. And what I make, I never throw away. You saw ruin. I saw a foundation. You saw a man too far gone. I saw a man I could rebuild. Slowly, sacredly, tenderly. I know you didn't feel worthy. I know you stopped believing that something good could still come from your story. But I never stopped writing it. Even when the chapters got dark. Even when you couldn't feel me anymore. I was still turning pages. Still building. Still holding the pieces you thought were too shattered to matter. You called yourself broken, but I call you beloved. You called yourself a failure, but I call you mine. You looked in the mirror and saw a man who lost everything. But I looked at you and saw the beginning of something I could bless. Because I don't need your strength. I need your surrender. I don't need the polished version of you. I want the real one. The one with questions. The one with scars. The one who cries at night but still wakes up and tries again. That's the one I'm rebuilding. That's the one I'm proud of. You thought you needed to fix yourself before coming back to me. But I was never waiting at the finish line. I was sitting with you in the rubble. I am the God who kneels beside the ruins and builds from the dust. I don't shame what's been broken. I sanctify it. I use every crack to let light through. I use every piece to create something stronger. You're not being glued back together. You're being made new. Do you remember that cup of coffee from a stranger? That coloring page from a little girl? That job cleaning my house where you thought you were invisible? Those were me. I've been speaking to you all along. Not through thunder, but through whispers. Not through lightning, but through little mercies. I am not rebuilding your resume. I am rebuilding your heart. I am teaching you to breathe again without fear, to walk without shame, to hope without guilt. You don't have to earn this. Just receive it and listen. Your past doesn't disqualify you from your future. Your failure doesn't cancel your calling. Your grief doesn't exclude you from grace. I am not done. You are not finished. You are in the middle of a holy process, and I do not rush what I love. I build slow because I build to last. So if you feel like you're still in pieces, that's okay. Let every piece be held in my hands. You don't have to fix yourself. You only need to stay in my presence. I'm not asking you to be strong again. I'm asking you to be honest, to be still, to let me love the you that the world said was unlovable. This isn't the end of your story. It's the part where restoration begins. And no matter how quiet the process, how hidden the work, how long the journey, I am with you. I am not giving up on you. I never did. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. What if the pieces of your life were never meant to be thrown away, but to be reassembled into something stronger, deeper, more sacred than before? What if this place you're standing in, the one that still smells like loss and silence and questions, is not your ending, but the ground floor of something eternal? We're taught to associate healing with rising quickly, with being loud, with getting back to normal. But what if normal was never what God wanted for you? What if He's building something new, not a repair job, but a resurrection? Sometimes, rebuilding doesn't feel like progress. It feels like starting over. Like learning to walk again after a fall. Like speaking after months of silence. Like learning how to trust your own voice when shame has made it tremble. But just because it's slow doesn't mean it's not sacred. The world may look at you and only see what you lost. Your marriage, your job, your status, your spark. But God sees something different. He sees depth where others see damage. He sees softness where others see weakness. He sees someone who has known pain and has chosen to rise again, not in pride, but in surrender. And maybe that's the kind of strength that really matters. The kind that grows in secret. The kind that doesn't need applause to be real. You may not recognize yourself right now. That's okay. You're not supposed to. Because you're not going back to who you were. You're becoming someone you've never met. Someone freer, someone truer, someone more whole because of the very things that broke you. God is not wasting your pain. He's repurposing it. He's building with it. The shame that once tried to silence you is now being forged into compassion for others. The nights you spent crying alone are now becoming oil for healing. Every part of your story is being folded into a structure only He can see fully. And no, it doesn't look finished yet. But you're not supposed to see the whole house while it's still under construction. You just need to trust the hands of the builder. So today, even if you still feel cracked, even if you still feel uncertain, even if the ground doesn't feel solid, know this: you are further than you think. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral of grace, of setbacks and small victories, of learning to love yourself again the way God already does. There is no shame in slow growth. There is no guilt in needing time. There is only the invitation to breathe again, to step forward, not in who you used to be, but in who you're becoming. Because you're not broken. You're becoming whole. And every quiet step you take is a declaration. I am not finished. God is not done with me. I am being rebuilt. So now, take a breath. Not a perfect one. Not a brave one. Just a real one. And let me ask you, not with pressure, but with kindness. What if you stop trying to prove you're okay and simply let yourself be rebuilt? What if being not okay was not the disqualification you feared, but the doorway God always planned to walk through with you? Could it be that your broken places are not signs of failure, but invitations to deeper fellowship with the one who never left your side? You've spent so much time hiding the cracks, apologizing for the pieces, trying to fast forward through the ache. But what if this is the holy ground? What if the fragments of your soul are not meant to be swept away, but gathered, held, and repurposed by the hands of a loving Creator who builds slow because He builds forever? Maybe you don't need to understand it all. Maybe you don't need to have a 5-year plan. Maybe all you need tonight is to whisper something true, something small and honest and sacred. So if your heart is ready, let this be your prayer. Not because it's eloquent, but because it's yours. God, I've tried so hard to fix myself. I've blamed myself. I've buried parts of me because I thought you wouldn't want them. But here I am, all of me. The tired, the hurting, the unfinished. I'm placing every broken piece in your hands now, not asking you to erase what's happened, but to do what only you can do. Rebuild me into who I was always meant to be. Not the old me, the new me. The one you see when you look at my story, with mercy, not shame. I don't know how long it will take, but I know this. I don't want to build without you. And maybe that's all you need right now. Not a grand finish, not a dramatic turnaround. Just the quiet courage to say, I'm not broken, I'm becoming. And that, my friend, is a holy place to begin again.